right now on the heels of the debacle against Charlotte and on the morn of Kings-Lakers renewing the rivalry. Color analyst for your Sacramento Kings, Kayte Christensen. Kayte, how, if you're the Kings, do you forget about Charlotte and move on to LA, or do you forget about Charlotte and move on to LA?
Good morning, Dave. Are we done with pleasantries?
Good morning. Hi.
Hi. Hello, fellas. Yeah, so it's interesting that Charlotte game. I don't watch the stand-up, but I said, and Kyle were kind of talking about like the lowly Charlotte Hornets, so on and so forth. It's a must-win. And I'm like, wow, this team is way better than their record. And I think that, if you're not paying close attention to the Charlotte Hornets, which not a lot of people are over here in Sacramento, they've been playing without Gordon Hayward for a long stretch, without LaMelo Ball for a long stretch. They had one whole game with their starting five, and it was the game before they came and played in Sacramento. And then Terry Rozier got injured in that game. So they have not been complete this whole year. And so they're not a team to be overlooked or anything like that. And there's going to be those games. I mean, you look at the Bucks, they've lost twice to Houston. It happens to every team to a certain degree, whether it's matchups or just schedule and all of that. And so, I mean, I don't look at it as a complete and utter failure, because there's going to be games like that because they kind of even out a bit. You look at the Cleveland game going on a 19-0 run on the road and beating them for the second time on their home floor. So I think that, you got to kind of keep an 82-game season in perspective in that way. But I did see someone on Twitter that was like, I'm done with the Kings. They lost to the Hornets. This is just BS and all. And I'm like, wow, that's what it's going to be. Like, they've done so well all season. They're playing so much better. They're just a better team. And one game of an 82-game season is what's going to break you. So, I mean, I just try to keep it in perspective. You got the Lakers tonight, and you just kind of got to move on.
Kayte Christensen, Kings color analyst, joining us from the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Kayte, two things. Number one, stay off Twitter. It's a bad place, and it's not good for your mental health.
I'm transitioning off of Twitter.
That's Matt in the 916, by the way, and I've kind of taken him under my wing because anytime.
Well, there you go.
Anytime the Kings lose, the sky is falling. It's over. He said Monty doesn't deserve an extension now after the Charlotte. It's that guy. I honestly worry for his well-being.
I think it was someone else. It's just, it doesn't. And listen, I do not begrudge fans for being angry about losses. Like, I understand they are entitled to that, but for me, looking at things from like kind of like a global kind of perspective when it comes to the season, I'm like, yeah, like every team in the league is going to have a couple bad losses. And I don't actually look at the Hornets game as a bad loss, because I think if you do, you're underestimating the Hornets. They are not the worst team in the Eastern Conference. They've just been dealt a lot of adversities early in the season. So fans can be upset, like that's okay. But I'm also like, okay, like everyone simmer down now.
Yeah, fans can be upset, and I'm glad you don't get upset with them for that, but I will get upset with them when they're stupid, but that's a different conversation. What I wanted to ask you more about was, under the glass, Domas has just been gobbling up rebounds all year, but they've really missed some rebounding, I feel like, at the forward positions. Barnes and Murray last game combined for only 4 rebounds. What is it about the forward position that the Kings are having trouble getting rebounds from that spot?
That's a good question. I mean, Harrison has been pretty good all year, but Harrison went out in that game with an injury and only played in the first half. And I'm a little bit more concerned to see what the status is of that quad injury, I believe is what they called it when he left the game today. I haven't looked at the injury report yet this morning. I'm just happy that I've made a cup of coffee. That's where I'm at right now. So, I think that it's something where I don't know if they're in the position and Domas is just that good. He really has been just absolutely dominant on the boards. And you can't expect him to get 15 to 20 rebounds every game. But as a whole, the Kings are actually a really good rebounding team. And I think that other positions kind of come in. Kevin Huerter grabs boards. De'Aaron is really good at getting in and grabbing boards. And so as long as a whole, they're rebounding well, I'm not as concerned about what position it's coming from.
We're going to have Kevin Herter on in 20 minutes, exactly 20 minutes, as a matter of fact. We'll ask him about what I talked about all morning long. I was very worried about this Monday game, and anybody who's covered the sport at all knows that when you come back from a road trip, a long road trip, the first home game back is always weird. It's almost always weird. You could probably make a ton of money just betting against the home team their first game back. Now, I know to say that. I know that it happens, but I never played like you. I never played like Kevin. I don't know why it happens. Can you try to shed some light on that?
I can try. I mean, I don't know that it's going to, explain it in its entirety. I just remember as a player, when you're gone for a long time, you come home, you're back with your family, you're back with your responsibilities, things that you have to do. You're also, you've been on the East Coast, your time is completely off. You're not adjusted back to, California time, if you will, in this case. But it's really just a mental thing. And so I think that when you look at, great teams in this league, generally those are the teams with a little bit more veteran experience that have kind of been through the NBA schedule for a while now, and they do a better job of that. But, it's really, really wild. I think, it's to a certain degree, it's inexplicable, right? Because it should be better to come home. We did the home away numbers for the Kings in that game against Charlotte. Their numbers at home are they're scoring 10 more points a game. And now that's skewed a little bit because that's coming off of the 6-game road trip where, I called it the defensive gauntlet that they went through. They played, 5 of the best defensive teams in the NBA, and they weren't scoring as much because of that. And it's just different based on the type of teams you're playing. But still, it's really hard to explain that first game back from a mental standpoint, why there's a struggle.
I got to turn my mic on, huh? Kayte Christensen joining us this morning. Kayte, yesterday, Coach Mike Brown was pretty animated in getting the fans hyped up and, trying to get the votes in for Domas and De'Aaron for the All-Star game. Just based upon what you've observed this season, is there anybody that is more deserving than Domas outside of Nikola Jokic for that All-Star selection in the Western Conference?
No, absolutely not. I think that the way that he has played and what he has meant to the success of this team is something that, is kind of unmatched, aside from Nikola Jokic in that position. And I would be shocked if he is not selected as an all-star. Now, voted is different, right? Selected by coaches is, you're voting for position. So that's a tough guy to go up against in terms of Jokic. But, we actually spent, Mark, Kyle, and I, the afternoon yesterday with Domas and De'Aaron filming some commercials. So all kind of to get people out for the vote. And that was a lot of fun, and just interacting with those two. We did it at the Kings offices, and it's so strange, the quality of the chemistry on this team is really special this year. And just sitting with kind of the two leaders on this team and Domas and De'Aaron yesterday, and seeing their interaction and their relationship kind of off the court was really kind of eye-opening to me in terms of, how special this team is compared to, the last 16 years of what's been going on here. And it just kind of reiterated to me, this team is special. And those two players specifically are so responsible for the shift in chemistry, mentality, success, all of that. And to answer your question again, no, there is nobody outside of Nikola Jokic that is more deserving of an all-star nod than Domantas at that position.
Kayte Christensen joining us. I know you're always trying to better your craft. Are you going to have Mark start clearing his references with you? For example, Richard Mille watch versus your Fitbit?
Sometimes he pulls stuff that I'm like, what is happening right now? Are you gonna go into that?
I saw it. I saw the reference and I knew immediately you had no idea what it was.
I had no idea what he was saying.
Had you ever heard of the Mille watch before?
No.
Yeah, so he was referencing a very expensive, like a Rolex, Patek Philippe. Different.
Yeah, well, I know the Patek Philippe. Yeah,
Right.
I know that. But that one, and I knew he was talking about a watch. Mark is fashionable, to say the least, and he has expensive taste. So, I knew what he was talking about.
You're not exactly wearing clothes from Walmart either, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not. I'm not saying you have cheap taste. Is my point.
You know what? I'm not like cheap, but I'm not expensive, if that makes sense. I'm a single mom with a daughter. You know what I mean? Like, I have like school tuition and, healthcare and all those things that factor in a little bit more than, fancy watches.
All right. Well, I'll be walking by your broadcast position tonight.
I heard you should stop and say hello and bring your lovely wife, because I'd rather see her.
Probably not going to happen.
All right, guys.
Good talking to you.
Yeah, you too, Dave. We should do it more often.
That'd be great. I'm glad that you could cut out some time to visit this morning.
For you, Kyle, I don't know if you get the passive aggressiveness, but I just want to make sure that, everyone's kind of recognizing that Dave's being a little needy right now.
Who's Kyle?
Kyle Madsen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not Jay.
No.
She said Kyle.
I know.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Jay. Sorry.
Yeah. Or maybe Kyle Draper.
Yeah.
Kyle.
Me and Kyle Draper look just alike.
Jay, I hope your belly feels better.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I got him a pack of dude wipes for Christmas. So take care.
Oh my God.
Bye.
Bye.
She noticed right